Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6. So we are back into the swing of things with The Flash for this season, as we did have the mid-season premiere over the past week or so, which of course followed on from and also dealt with the events of Crisis, but also, propelled us forward into the story for the back half of this season, as we saw Iris do a lot, like quite a lot, with the black hole storyline, which eventually led to her getting yeeted into the mirror world by Silver Surfer herself right at the end of the episode. So it will be interesting to see where that leads, but in today's episode we are going to go over some interview stuff with the showrunner for The Flash, that of course being Eric Wallace, where he does talk about some pretty interesting things, including some stuff in relation to what happened to Iris, what's going on with Cisco, and also the villains for the back half, and just what to expect in general. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know all of your various opinions in the comment section down below, what from the stuff we go over in this interview stuff gets you interested, and also some other stuff towards the end of the video, which I actually haven't mentioned yet, but it's pretty damn interesting towards the end. And yeah, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to drop a like on it to show support and I guess excitement for what's coming. So to start off, this is Eric previewing the back half of Season 6, or as it is more commonly being referred to now, Graphic Novel Number 2. Because this is the season of thrills and chills, if Graphic Novel Number 1 was the chills, Graphic Novel Number 2 is the thrills. Whereas Bloodwork's story was very much the Flash's version of a horror movie, it's time to go to a thriller now, and there might even be a little sci-fi weirdness in there, because I watched too much Twin Peaks. A lot of the things that we were drawing on for reference, which you see in that opening episode, or that opener, sorry, were 70s paranoid thrillers. All the President's Men, 3 Days of the Condor, The Parallax View. All those kinds of films were kind of at the back of our heads as we went into Graphic Novel Number 2. And this is what I really like about what Eric Wallace has done this season. He's really taken the model that made, I guess, specifically Arrow Season 2 really well done. But this is doing it a bit different to that at the same time. Arrow Season 2 pretty much had two villains. You had the first half villain and the back half villain. And you could argue maybe something like Flash Season 3 did that as well. But you had Brother Blood at the beginning of the season, and then the season ended off with Deathstroke. However, that opening arc with Brother Blood did flow on into the back half with Brother Blood still being there. Obviously, Bloodwork could be in this back half of The Flash. We have no idea. But I do like having a villain for the opening half and a villain for the second half, and you pretty much get 2 seasons in one, and it allows them just to have pretty much every episode is relevant. One of the big complaints about not just The Flash, but I guess any show that really has a lot of episodes, like 20 or 16 plus, is that there is filler episodes. And sometimes it can be filler episode, then an episode that's relevant, filler episode, relevant episode. Like half of the episodes in some seasons could be seen as filler episodes. However, the first half, outside of maybe the Cisco one, was filler. Well, that was the only one that was filler, really. But even then, I think that episode was still relevant for Cisco's story and what was going on. So I didn't even see that as filler. So hopefully this is what we get from now on with not just The Flash, any show that comes in with the Arrowverse. Follow this model. It's the best model to go with, and no one can really complain about it. If they do complain about, oh my god, there's a filler episode, then they really are just complaining for the sake of complaining. But yeah, also in another interview where I won't bother bringing up the quote, because it's sort of pointless, but Eric Wallace did confirm that the official title, if you want to call it, for the opening half of this season, or Graphic Novel Number 1, is Blood and Truth. That's the official name for the first half. He was going to reveal the second half, or actually he wasn't going to. He was asked what the second half graphic novel number 2 title was, and he was like, well, I can't tell you because that's a spoiler. So get excited for that, I guess. But this is Eric Wallace on Barry, and I guess more specifically Iris. Now we get to deal very specifically with what was Iris going through and how has that affected her now, and where will that take Barry and Iris' relationship. Quite frankly, it takes it to some nuts places, but what's great is that by the end of Graphic Novel Number 2, I can say unequivocally that Barry and Iris will be closer than they've ever been before, simply because what happens is just the craziest thing ever. Now, with this, I am intrigued, because this could have something to do with what happened with Iris at the end of last episode, or it could be stuff to come with Iris. I am intrigued, because this could also maybe link with some, the Iris from the future storyline if they go down that route. I don't know if they'd be able to intertwine that into this season. I'm intrigued, because I think Eric Wallace has a good grip on not only how to adapt the source material into a very interesting way on TV, but also what the fans want. I think there's been everything in this season, I think there's at least something for everyone that watches, whether you are an Iris fan, whether you're a fan of The Flash, whether you're a Cisco fan, Caitlyn fan, anything like that. or at least what's to come as well, will still be entertaining for everyone that watches the show. So I'm intrigued to see what they do here. And when he says it's crazy, I believe him. But this is also Eric on Crisis and its effect on Barry. One would think the fallout of Crisis is the death of Oliver Queen and not having your mentor. You know, Obi-Wan is gone, Luke must rise up, become a hero. And that happens, don't get me wrong, but that's not the real fallout of Crisis. The real fallout of Crisis has yet to be seen. That is the heart of our story, and that is the heart of what is going to lead Barry on a very emotional journey that he is not prepared for. That's one of the things having Kanan back as Kid Flash does for us. It directly addresses, because Kanan will be in one of our episodes in graphic novel number 2, and is to help Barry deal with the real fallout of Crisis. So with this, I'm intrigued to see what they do here, because I think we all knew it wasn't just going to be like, okay, Barry's done with Crisis after one episode, he's done dealing with it. We expected this to carry on, but I'm just interested as hell to see how they make it fold into the entire back half of the season, and maybe even tie into the complete villain. Like, is the villain showing up a cause of Crisis? Because in another interview, there was wording where it almost seemed like maybe the villain for the season was going to be someone that we knew, whether it was someone from that we met this season, or maybe a past villain from previous seasons, whether it be someone that was already a big bad, like Zoom, or, DeVoe or Savitar or something, or whether it's someone that we met throughout that journey that then is more powerful now and worthy of being a main villain. I can't wait to see what they do. We know Kanan's coming back for episode 14, which is an episode called Death of the Speed Force, so make of that what you will. Wally West has come back for that episode. Obviously, Kanan plays Wally West. But yeah, I'm just so excited for what they're going to do in this back half. But this is also Eric on Crisis and it leading to returning villains. The past villains that we saw in previous seasons, they're not the same villains anymore. They are different people. They might even have different abilities, which Team Flash is going to get caught unprepared. It gives a freshness to it and even more danger to what would be a meta of the week kind of storyline. It becomes even more treacherous if you don't know what the meta is, because that meta is a little bit more unpredictable. We're going to dig deep. You're definitely going to get villains we have not seen in a long time popping up. So we did get a taste of that in episode 10. We saw a new version of Dr. Light. That's what it's sort of, what Eric's saying here. Like, they're not the same villains anymore. They're different people. So Dr. Light we'd seen with Earth 2 Linda Park, but now it was Kamiya Hoshi, which is the exact same character from the comics. So I can't wait to see what they do there. Obviously, we know that Eve McCulloch is coming in, who's like a gender-bent version of Evan McCulloch from the comics. So, and we already had Sam Scudder as a Mirror Master. So we have a female Mirror Master for this season, but it's sort of like unclear whether she's good or bad, and I'm sure we'll find out in the next couple of episodes. But yeah, let me know what villains you'd like to see show up again. I wouldn't mind seeing like a more comic accurate version of Top, where they actually spin. That's just not some like weird eye thing. Maybe even like a metahuman version of Captain Cold, where he doesn't have the gun, he's actually got the powers. That'd be pretty cool. But this is Eric on that Cisco moment at the end of episode 10, the most recent episode. Oh, no. Cisco and Carlos are not going anywhere. Cisco's off on his journey to catalog the world, but he'll be back very quickly. And the information he learns out there in the world is going to help us solve one of the biggest things Team Flash has ever dealt with, and that involves the return of an old villain, which I won't spoil. Now, in regards to this, I think if you actually thought Cisco was going for good, I think you're a bit naive, because it was a pretty lame farewell if he was gone for good. I mean, he didn't even say goodbye to everyone else. It was just Nash. So it would have been weird if he was just gone forever. So I think it would have been, I think we all knew he was going to be back sooner rather than later. Apparently, if you're wondering, I think Carlos had something scheduled, so that's why they had to let him go for a bit, and they worked it into the storyline. So the Carlos Yada's the actor had something like some scheduling conflicts, and that's why he had to leave the show for a tiny bit. But in regards to, this old villain, you could argue maybe it's tied to Grodd. However, he says, I won't spoil who it is. And we already know Grodd's coming back. Like, the episode title's been out there for ages in regards to Grodd Friended Me, which we'll go over in a second in regards to something about it. So you'd have to think it's something else. Maybe it's an old villain that's maybe the big bad, or I don't know. I'm interested to see what it is, because I don't think it'd be Grodd. It'd have to be someone else. If you have any ideas who it could be, let me know. But I don't think it'd be Grodd, because everyone knows that episode 13 is called Grodd Friended Me, and we know Grodd's back for that episode. So if you have any ideas, let me know. But speaking of Grodd, they actually did release the synopsis for episode 13 for this season, which, as I said, is otherwise entitled Grodd Friended Me, and here's the synopsis or description. Feeling overwhelmed with all the changes since Crisis, Barry conducts an experiment that goes awry and puts him directly in Gorilla Grodd's path. Expecting the worst, Barry is surprised when Grodd asks for his help. Unfortunately for both the Flash and Grodd, things get worse when another villain appears, Solivar. Meanwhile, Iris works with Ava to escape the Mirrorverse. Now firstly, it's interesting that they're calling it Mirrorverse because in the comics it's Mirror World. Anyway, but yeah, firstly, with Barry's experiment, I don't really know what it could be. Like, it could be something about like another sort of like extrapolated thing, trying to travel the world in like a breach sort of thing. Or it could be something to do with his speed. Obviously, this is like 2 or 3 episodes into the future, so maybe there's some revelations with Barry's powers. Obviously, there was things in the last episode and even the trailer for episode 11 that sort of showed either Barry maybe seeing changes from Crisis with his powers, or maybe losing control. I know there's people saying that, you know, Oliver gave him, like, opened up the endless possibility of his powers by booping him in Crisis, but I think most people know that that's a placebo effect. I think it'd be very, very overpowered if Oliver just made Barry overpowered. I then gave him, like, ultimate power. Like, it was obviously a placebo effect anyway. But in regards to Grodd and Barry, it's pretty interesting that it's going to be like a Grodd and Barry team-up, or the Flash and Gorilla Grodd team-up, versus Solivar. It seems like it's almost like a retread of that Gorilla City sort of two-parter from season 3, but I don't think it'll be a retread. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe we're not dealing with Gorilla City, just because it is a lot of CGI in certain areas. So I'd have to say it takes place elsewhere. It probably takes place in like the forest or something like that. But I hope it's not like a retread of that, because that'd be sort of annoying. So hopefully they do something fairly unique with it. But this should be a 2-part. Like, this should be part 1 of a 2-parter sort of like event thing. With episode 14 obviously being the second part. So I'm excited to see what they do, because it's just cool to have Grodd back. And as a little fun note, Gorilla Grodd is Eric Wallace's favorite villain in both the comics and the show. So he wants to do Grodd right, so I'd expect something pretty cool with the character. And also we have Iris working with Ava to get out of the Mirrorverse. So does this sort of spoil something from the episodes to come? Like, does that mean Iris goes back in there to help? Or does she never come out? Like, has she never come out of there? And the Iris we're going to see in the episodes to come, you know, first up this week with episode 11, that's not her. It's like some sort of like Mirrorverse replicant person of sorts. Is that what's going on there with Iris? Because she's obviously a bit different, so maybe that would make sense. But maybe there's some sort of like issue, and that's why Ava can't get out of the Mirrorverse, but Iris can jump in and out. I'm interested to see what they do there. But it is interesting that Ava's still stuck in there by episode 13, so there's going to be a couple of episodes, or a few episodes, where we're in the Mirrorverse, or Mirror World as it should be called. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it, show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over, what gets you most interested here, what do you think is going on in episode 13 and all of that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.